The coronavirus is here, y'all. And it's real. But it is not the number one threat. Please do not be distracted. I repeat, it is not the number one threat here. Today we're going to talk about something far more contagious and far more deadly. But god dang it, we got to stop fighting over the toilet paper first, people.
The Creator Podcast.
My name is Dion Williams, aka Dion Does, and I truly believe that we were all created in the image of the ultimate creator, and therefore it's in us all to create. And this show aims to help you and I both level up in this four-dimensional game of life so that we can go out and create for good, whether that's for ourselves, our family, the community around us, but all of this a part of a generational vision of a family of creators coming together to be the difference. Creator family, welcome back, man. Feels good to be back on the Creator Podcast, and man, it feels amazing to see all of the love and support that this thing is getting, man. I see all the ratings, the 5 stars. I see all the comments, man. They make my day. And I get it. I know some of y'all are way too cool for school. You don't leave ratings on apps. You're like me. See, you think you're the man and you're too busy. And when the apps, they do little pop-ups, they're like, oh, are you enjoying this app? You know dang well you love the app. You use it every day. It's just the first app you check. But you say no because they're going to ask you for a review and a rating afterward. And you're stingy and you're lazy. That's what it really is. And like I said, that's me. I feel bad, but I'm asking for the review. I'm trying to get you lurkers, you listeners that like to listen and consume, and you really do appreciate this, but you haven't left the rating or you haven't left the comment. Help your boy out. Again, I get it. I don't do them as much as I should, but it would make my day if you did. And thank you to everyone that has been doing it. But let's talk, y'all. The coronavirus. That was my best Cardi B TikTok impression. So many things are on lockdown, man. The kids are out of school, driving my wife crazy. I get to step out into my office or go to our office that is like our house and record at the studio and stuff like that. So I get way more breaks than her. My kids are driving my wife crazy. Sometimes I'll take them to the office and they drive me crazy. I take them right back home. Like, nope, nope. And, or they go to grandma's house. But I said all that to say, they've been going ham on TikTok. That's their thing. I halfway get it. I need to get it more, and I need to get on it. And everything I see on it is dope. But I've been seeing the coronavirus from Cardi B. But yeah, man, big deal. This is where I want to start. I'm not the guy that's thinking this is something small or it's not that big a deal or it's a conspiracy. I think it's real. And I'm taking it very serious on all fronts. I don't want to get it. Although I'd like to hope that, I'd be able to hopefully do well and fight it. Man, I had the flu, but this does have me concerned. I had the flu at the beginning of the year. I thought it was the regular old normal flu. Either that or I was the first case of corona. Before no one was talking about it, in January. I got this crazy flu. It didn't have none of the respiratory stuff or any of it, but if you guys follow me, y'all remember the first week / very end of the year, last year, I was jacked up, man. And it's if that's the normal flu and there's a upgraded Big Brother flu, I'm not even trying to mess with that. So for that reason, I'm washing my hands more. The social distancing, I got it. I'm going to distance myself. But more so, for those that, have followed me for a while, my wife's been struggling with some health issues for years. And we got way, way more question marks than we do answers over here. And she struggled with, different forms of dysautonomia, POTS, EDS, so that's a rare connective tissue disorder, some autoimmune issues, and again, just a lot of question marks. And so I don't want her to have to deal with it. My mama old. Some of y'all got mamas that's old. So I think y'all should be taking it serious. So I don't want this podcast to come off in anything that may lead you to believe that I'm not taking this serious, because I am. I think it's a big deal, and I think we should all treat it seriously. Another way that I'm taking it serious is I think most times I'm honestly more worried about other people's reaction to the virus and the overreaction and the things that people are doing already and that may continue to do out of fear. There's just so much uncertainty, man. I've never been through anything like this. I'm over here stressing. I went to order something off Amazon. They talking about it's going to take like over a month to get it. I'm like, what? I'm spoiled. I'm like, Amazon, what do you mean 30 days? Like it's crazy, people. And so that's more of my thing, I think everyone should take it serious. Make sure your home defense is on point just in case, right? So that's my public service announcement. I'm taking the coronavirus serious. But, however, it is not the biggest threat here. By far what's really spreading is fear. I've seen some really cool charts. All the news stations got it where like you see where the outbreak started, right? Overseas, and then you see it spreading, and then you have the first case in the US, and then it gets bigger and it spreads, right? Like if they had one of those for fear, oh my Lord, it would be spreading 100 times faster than the coronavirus. And fear is a big deal, and we'll probably talk about fear as long as this podcast is going, because there's so many different angles to look at it, so many different lessons, so many different paradigm shifts, and I'm hoping you'll have the first one. There's so much more that I could say about fear, but I just want to attack it from one angle today, and I hope it blesses you guys. And the principle I want to give you, or even just the question that I want you to start asking, or the seed that I want to plant, is how are some different ways that we can look at fear? And I'm going to give you one today. Now, here's what I found to be the worst way to look at fear, and that is trying to overcome it and trying to like get rid of it or eradicate it, saying that like, trying to live a life that never experiences fear. And I don't even think you would want to live a life where there is no fear. It's that sometimes the fear, it has you back, right? It keeps you from doing dumb stuff. Let's say you were at the zoo and somehow there was a way for you to fall into the lion's cage. You would be afraid, and that fear would drive you to hopefully find the fastest way for you to get up out of there. That's a place where you should be afraid. And in that situation, fear will save you. But if fear doesn't go checked and we allow it to be something that overpowers us, then it actually starts, not only, of course, it wins, but it starts to destroy. That's one of the things with fear. It acts like it sets out to destroy things, destroy dreams, destroy relationships, destroy momentum. And so we can't, so that leads us to the second way that we can't look at fear. So first off, we don't want to look at it like it's something that we want to like outmuscle or wrestle and overpower. But we also don't want to just submit and do nothing. And a lot of people take that approach too. When they feel afraid or fears talking, they always listen and they always believe it. And they don't even try to fight back. Right? And so now you're like, well, dang, well, what do I do, Dion? I can't overpower it, you say. But then I ain't supposed to just be a punk and do nothing. Well, let's talk about that. And here's how I like to look at fear. I like to roll with it. What do I mean by that? By rolling, I'm talking like jujitsu. If you're not a jujitsu master like me, don't worry. I'm going to break it down for you. And I'm not a jujitsu man. I'm still a white belt, and I haven't been back in months. I need to. But I had a short jujitsu career, and it really is not, I don't want to say like it's over. I haven't retired. I'm just, the corona got me on pause, and I was paused well before the corona was around. But, my career is just on pause right now. But when I was in my jujitsu trenches, it was about for a month. I went to about 3 beginner classes, and then I dropped a rack for personal training and didn't even go to all of those. It was like $100 a class. I didn't even go to all. I went to like 6 of them. But I started to just feel the transformation, man. I was learning new things, learning how to choke ninjas out, how to do so much. I would be in like, and this is when you know you're doing jujitsu wrong, but I would just be in like the line at Subway, and I would just look at the dude next to him like, yep, I could take him. I'd choke that, and then give me like 8 seconds. Like I'd just be sizing people up because I was learning things, and it was opening my mind. And we're going to talk about this in another podcast, just how new knowledge will literally make doors appear. Not open doors, but it will make doors appear because you have a new way of looking at things. And so if I were before jiu-jitsu, if I were to get into a fight, I was always going to try to overpower someone, right? If it came to a wrestling match or it went to the ground, I'm trying to like be stronger and throw you around and outmuscle you, right? Because I hit the weight room. That was my approach. And so I went into my very first jiu-jitsu class, and the professor, the guy teaching, was probably 130 pounds. He's probably like 130 pounds. He was not a big dude. And he might be a little, I don't know. He's the guy that does jiu-jitsu with John Jones. He's like a small Brazilian looking cat. Like if you watch like the Embedded series and you see John Jones and he has like his jiu-jitsu coach, like is that guy. I went to that class with him and I got to roll with him. And rolling in jiu-jitsu is kind of like sparring, in boxing or another martial arts. Like it's almost like practice fighting, but you're just rolling and you're trying to, catch people in submissions and try to transition and whatnot. And so we were rolling. Again, this is my first day, and I line up with this guy. I'm like, yeah, he's a black belt, but he's so little. Like, there's no way he's going to be able to do anything. Man, fast forward about 40 seconds, this man was choking me out with my own arm. I didn't even know that was possible. He's 130 pounds, and I'm like, whoa. He done got my leg bent back in so many crazy ways. Like, this dude is just straight manhandling me. Never would have thought it would happen. Like, if I saw him on the street and he wanted smoke, no way I'm backing down. I wasn't intimidated by him. But he taught me something. And it was just this shock to my system as I started to learn jiu-jitsu. And this is what had me hooked so early on, is that he understood how to use my momentum against me, right? And so unlike what I would try to do in wrestle, like if he was moving a certain way, I would try to stop him and move him the other way and overpower him, right? But what he would do, if I was moving a certain way, he wouldn't even stop me. Not only that, he would let me and encourage me to move that way, and he would even be so kind as to move that way with me. But he would reverse it, right, and use my own momentum against me and my power against me to throw me around, ragdoll me. And like I said, at one point, I was getting choked out with my own arm. Oh, my Lord. And this is the idea I have with fear, because fear is really powerful. And some of us have big fears, little fears, For someone, the coronavirus, actually contracting it might be a little fear. You're like, I got some orange juice, vitamin C. I'll be all right. I could get through it. But then your job laid you off, and now you're not making any money. And maybe your landlord hooked it up, or I've seen some utility companies step up and do some really cool things. But you're like, hey, that's great. My kids still got to eat. Right? Or whatever it may be, whatever your fear may be, that may be a big fear for you. And everyone has their own, right? And some are coronavirus related, some are not. Some are, financial, spiritual, relational, whatever they may be, fears. And this new paradigm that I want to give you, which is a new way of looking at fear, you'll almost start to not invite the bigger fear, but when it does show up, you won't be as panicked because you'll say, okay, bigger fear, more energy, more momentum behind this fear, the more power I can get when I reverse this and work with it. Okay? So here's how we do that. And here's how we actually start to diffuse the fear and actually get that reversal and use its energy against itself, like the professor was doing for me when he was choking me out with my own arm. So here's some of the things that fear does is it wakes us up to some things. Because think about it. We're so quick to try to turn off certain things that our body does naturally. And I don't think that's a good thing, right? We got to understand a lot of these desires and these things that we feel in our life, they're a two-way street. So there's definitely a wrong way to go with it. But then there's also a good way, right? Like God made our bodies the way they are. For example, when they have sexual desires. Now, boy, is there a lot of ways to get ourselves in a lot of trouble going about fulfilling those sexual desires in the wrong way, right? AKA could cause you a whole lot of baby mama drama. That's not what God's going for when he created this body to have these sexual desires. But in the confines of marriage, boy, can it be a beautiful thing. Yes, indeedy. So I got so many kids. It can be a very beautiful thing. But you see, it's a two-way street. And it's the same with fear. And sometimes we go crazy saying like, nope, I'm not going to feel fear. Nope, and we're going to fight against it. And when you do that, if you notice, pay attention next time you do this, you only make it worse. You only cause more pain trying to push the fear against the grain. So instead, what I want you to do is pause in the moment. Do your best not to react. Now, what I'm talking about is like more of the stress related, the fear, the anxiety, things like that. If you're in a situation and like something escalates and someone's trying to harm you, and you need to hop into a self-defense situation. I'm not saying pause and hold up, let me analyze. Nah, you got to punch someone, bow, pop them, handle your business, escape, whatever you got to do. That's not what I'm saying. But in something like maybe the coronavirus where fears are popping up or these other areas of your life, let's do a quick pause and assess. Just like being trapped in the lion's cage, the fear is trying to get your attention on certain things. Like, hey, there's a threat here that might bite our heads off. Let's see what we can do about eliminating that out of our situation. And so when you feel fear in a situation, what is it trying to tell you about? What weaknesses or pain points is it exposing? Does the coronavirus, and I've seen this a lot, we actually have a lot of new students now because people are realizing that how their finances were set up. And let me be careful when I say this. I don't want to act like there are some better places to be for sure for something like this to hit. Although a lot of people saw financial crashes coming, recessions on the way, the whole global pandemic thing, like no one saw that coming, right? So there was a lot of things that it was hard to prepare for, and this is affecting things in a very unique, crazy way. But what this is doing is exposing that maybe, man, your way of spending, saving, investing, or even maybe producing money isn't serving you the best, right? Maybe you're not in a place where you can even do, like the social distancing was hard for you because of your job, and maybe you got laid off. And maybe you're realizing that, man, I really didn't even have a way of making enough money so that I could even save or invest after I paid my bills. Or maybe you had you had more than you should have had, and you're trying to impress people, or you're trying to stunt, and that caused some problems for you. And I'm just trying to throw different scenarios out there to get your mind thinking, but what is the fear exposing? When there's fear in a relationship, you're afraid, oh, is she creeping? Is she cheating? What are these insecurities that are popping up? Maybe they are insecurities that you need to deal with. Or maybe there are legitimate issues within the relationship that need to be dealt with. So deal with them. And when we look at fear that way, it has a way of empowering us instead of paralyzing us. So we want to analyze, get clear with it. How I like to look at it is almost just imagine like sitting on a bench in front of a street, right? For some of you guys, it may be a crazy, busy street. Now, the street represents your mind and your thoughts. And so maybe there's a million cars just speeding left and right, zoom, 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 right? And what we need to do is find a way of distancing ourselves so we're not in the middle of traffic where things are crazy, hectic. You're dodging these thoughts, you're fighting for your life. And that's how some of your guys' brain is. I want you to get off the street, right? A block or two away from the street so you see the street. And right, the further away you are from things, the slower they move, the smaller they are. When you're on the interstate and you're literally standing on it and cars are zooming by you, boy, you can feel the wind. They're moving so fast. It's scary. But when you're a couple hundred yards back from the interstate, right? There's nothing zooming by. You can't feel the wind, and they're actually moving a lot slower when you're further away. And so that's what I want you to feel. You're away from the interstate or the street, whatever your mind brings up. And look at your thoughts as just like the cars passing by. And you can just watch them. No expectations. No nothing. You're just curious. Just looking at the thoughts. That's how you want to kind of distance yourself when you feel afraid. And just meditate on that and just say, okay, so what is this exposing right now? And what can I learn from that? And that's where we need to transition, y'all, to honestly, my favorite part of the podcast, where it's time to put some feet to it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to get out a pen and pad. I want you to take out notes on your phone. Maybe you're a Google Doc type ninja. Whatever, you gotta put this in writing, man. The science is there. It's clear. When you write things down, you're so much more likely to remember it and even more so take action on it. And that's what I want you guys to do with this podcast. I'm just not here to rant and ramble and you feel inspired for a little bit. And then you tweet your boy like, man, that sounded good. No, I want the testimonials like, man, I actually did what you said. I wanted you to put not your money where your mouth is, but I want to put some feet to it like you said. And you know what? You wasn't lying. I feel better. It changed my life. Things got better for me. My relationship improved. I got closer to God. I got over that. I stopped letting fear hold me back. Those are the DMs and the tweets and the emails and the comments that I'm after. So you guys got to be willing to actually put some feet to it. So take something out, all right? And if you're driving, maybe while you're listening, as soon as you because you ain't gully enough to just pull over and park. You should be quarantined, depending on when you're listening to this. So you should have something. But if you are driving, right, you might not be gully enough to pull over. But when you get to your destination, let's handle this, right? Don't let the day end don't let the sun set without you knocking this out. So what I want you guys to do is first identify, what am I afraid of? We gotta know. And that on its own is so powerful because you're going to write something down that you think is what you're genuinely afraid about. You might say, yo, it's the coronavirus. The coronavirus, I'm afraid of it. And then you look at it for a little bit and you're like, actually, I'm really not. I don't go outside. I got no friends. And you know what? I don't even like eating. I eat 4 green beans a day. There is a 0.000 chance of me catching this. And I just won this award for having the #1 immune system in the world. It's crazy. I know obviously I'm over exaggerating all this, right? But you're like, you know what? I'm not even afraid of that. What I am afraid of though is, what if my neighbor runs out of food or runs out of money and they want to run into my house to get my food, to get my green beans? I'm afraid of having my green beans or what if they want to get violent for my green beans? That may be what you're really afraid of, right? And so how can we address that? I want my beat back. I was vibing. Let's bring the beat back. Right? And so get clear on what you're truly afraid of. Truly, as the creator, all right, in this podcast, we're trying to work on that identity of a creator. We have to live in truth. It's such it gets uncomfortable. I'm with you. And sometimes we're afraid, but we gotta live in truth. So what are you truly afraid of? And then number 2, what is that exposing? What is that exposing? What is that shining some light on? Is it insecurities? Maybe valid insecurities that need to be dealt with. Or maybe invalid insecurities due to us believing some lies. Lies don't work. We can't do nothing with that. Then you gotta work your way back to the truth. Right? Maybe the insecurity is that, man, what were we saying earlier? Oh, she out there creeping. She cheating on me. Maybe, man, she don't go nowhere. She quarantined. You thought she was cheating in the other room. Or maybe there's an insecurity that you just feel like you're not good enough. And you're afraid that you might not be good enough for her, or that she might see it and that she might want to leave you. Well, we got to live in truth, people. So what evidence do you have to convict yourself of being not good enough? And you might be surprised that you don't have as much evidence as you thought you did. And just like a judge would have to do, you got to throw it out. It's not truth. It's not valid evidence. If you don't got the evidence, we can't convict you for not being good enough. And I got a homeboy, Jesus Christ, that has a whole lot to say about that. He seemed to think you were good enough, and that ninja died for you. God dang. So if there's no evidence, we got to throw it out. And I'm just throwing examples. I want to get your brain, but I don't want to limit you guys to this. Right? And I got a habit of kind of building off things I said earlier in the episode, but there's so many different ways that this could go. All right, I want you guys to pull up that creator frame that we talked about, the faith, relationships, energy, and economics. We take that with us everywhere. That's the 4-dimensional living. I want you to scan these questions across all 4 of those, man. What are you afraid in your faith, in your relationships, in your health, in your finances? Cover all of that. And so we got to get clear on it. Then you have to, God dang. Number 1, get clear on it. Number 2, we have to realize, what is it exposing out there? What is it putting a light on? And then number 3, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? As a creator, this is what separates you. You see the abundance. You see what you can create with this. When something is exposed, and that is when you can take a lot of the power out of this fear and reverse it on it and choke it out with its own arm. And that is the perspective on fear that I'm constantly trying to always remind myself, because it's really easy when you're stuck in headlines and when you're stuck, just like with any news, the bad news is what spreads the fastest, right? The story's not being told of all the people that are stepping up in this situation. The people that are risking their health to deliver meals and the people that are going above and beyond in the healthcare field. And a lot of the people that are putting differences aside and coming together to be the difference. That's not on the headlines, man. And so you got to be careful of, 1, looking at fear like it's something that can't be in your life, that you have to rid yourself of and overpower. Or number 2, looking at it like you're defenseless against it. I want you guys to find that middle ground. When fear shows up, don't freak out. Don't panic. Don't try to rush to get it out. Just pause. Like it's a car going by. Just say, Get curious on it. Examine it from different angles. And say, this surface level fear I'm feeling, is it really what I'm afraid of? Is there something deeper? And go deeper. And as you go deeper, what is it exposing, man? And finally, what can I do about it? And when you start adopting and practicing this, just like jujitsu, the more you do it, the better you get, the more techniques you learn, the more confidence you have. The more you practice this, the more you practice rolling with the fear, the better you'll get. And I'm gonna give you a pro tip. You can do this you can do this with more things besides fear, but we have to. I actually had a quote. I didn't even get to it. This is how important fear is, man. I looked this up. And there's a lot of different studies out there and research and statistics, and they will vary. But anywhere between 50, and that's on the low end, on some estimations, all the way up to 90% of people in hospitals right now are in there due to stress-related illnesses. I have this quote here. This is actually from a HuffPost article, but I actually have like 4 or 5 of them up and some really good stuff. I'm already gone long. I don't want to go too deep. We will be talking about fear more, but this says that stress is a factor in 5 out of the 6 leading causes of death: heart disease, cancer, stroke, lower respiratory disease, and accidents. An estimated 75% to 90% of all doctor visits are for stress-related issues. Man, fear is killing us, y'all. And again, like I said, corona is serious. Coronavirus is real, people, but not as real as fear. It's not even close. Fear has been here well before, and it's going to be here well after COVID-19. Okay? So don't get distracted. Know what your real enemy is and start fighting back through this new paradigm and perspective that I've given you. All right? And then when we get into future episodes and when you see what fear actually does to not just the brain but the body and the state that you go in, you see how good fear and like your fight or flight system, like how amazing that is and how it saves your life. It's dope. But your body wasn't meant to stay like that. And so when we're constantly staying in stress, it's killing us, plain and simple. And so I'm very, very passionate about this, and I hope you guys get this. This should be something you should listen to over and over again, some of you guys, just to really get it in your soul, man, to have this new perspective. And I'm really excited for what that might do for you in your life. And if it did bless you, if this made sense and you got something out of this, again, leave that rating, drop your boy a comment on whatever podcasting app that you use, if it allows you to comment. I know like iTunes does. And then get at your boy on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. Your comments on how this is blessing you in your life would really mean a lot. That's what keeps me going. And as always, I'd like to end this with reminding you guys that the creator identity is the most powerful thing you can hold. All right, it is your tool. It is your sword. It is your shield. It will guide you through life, and that's why I created freecreatorcode.com. I want you to get this code into your soul. This code that we live by as a creator family. It's 100% free. You can get it at freecreatorcode.com. I love you guys. Hope you guys stay safe. Have a blessed, I don't know when you're listening to this, but have a blessed quarantine, right? Have a blessed day, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. God first. God bless.